faceoff. Shoots it deflected. Right in. Pietrangelo save rebound. Stopped by Pietrangelo. I don't believe that save. Neither does Peter Stastny. He can't believe the save that Pietrangelo just made on him as Frankie Sparkman. Now that maneuver there to stop and rob Peter Stastny. He should get 5 to 10 for that.
Hello and welcome to episode 70 of Tendy Talk, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network and the BLPA Podcast Networks. I am your host, Joe, better known as Wash Up Goalie on social media. This week, I had 2 interviews lined up, but life got in the way and both needed to be pushed out. In a pinch, I reached out to a goalie I've been wanting to have on the podcast, but just haven't reached out to, Shawn Himmelberger. Shawn is a goalie I've played against a lot in the Minnesota Wild Adult Hockey League over at the Super Rink, not to mention some SodaStick.com sponsored tournaments. Shawn and I have an appreciation for each other's older style of play and can oftentimes be heard cheering on the other's big save. So, without further ado, let's get to the conversation with Shawn. Well, Shawn, thanks for joining me on the podcast. It's good to see you and talk to you again.
Yeah, you too, for sure.
Yeah, haven't seen each other as much the last 2 years since my team decided to take the winter and fall season off.
Oh, you guys did?
Yeah, well, we took the last winter season off because...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they had the mask mandate, and my teammates decided they didn't have a problem with the mask mandate. They didn't think they had the physical fitness to skate with the mask on. And I was looking at them going, you're almost all firefighters. Do you see the irony in this? And they're going, yeah, we do. And then in the fall, we were all set to sign up, and then things started shutting down, and they thought the mask mandate on the ice was going to come back. So they opted out of the fall, but now we're back. It's
cleaning up in here a little bit. I found the mask that I was wearing over my helmet for a while, or that little one in front.
Yeah,
I've
kept that darn thing in my bag just in case. Yeah, actually, my kids were excited. Today was the last day they had to wear their mask in school, starting Tuesday after the long 4-day weekend they have. They don't have to wear them in school, so they're pretty excited.
That's good. Yeah, our kids, I think they've been out for a little bit. Different school district, or what school district are you in?
We're in the Matamidi school district, so
that's right.
Yeah, so I mean they've been in person a lot longer than most schools, but the masks have been on there. And you ask a couple teenage kids to wear masks that long, and it's bad enough they have acne, but it just leads to even worse in certain areas. So, oh boy. Okay, I can see I'm already having internet issues. I think the boy is trying to play some video games. So we'll soldier through here.
Freeze up for you?
What was that?
Did I freeze up for you?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I didn't know if it was my son trying to play video games online or what.
Could have been the same thing here. It's about that time.
Yeah, exactly. I try and tell my son, hey, I got a podcast tonight. Try not to go online, but that doesn't always work out. Last I saw him, he had the Oculus on. So how did you get started in the game of hockey? Not even goalie, but how did you get started?
Well, I got started playing in Bemidji, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember. I don't even know if I had a choice. I think my mom was just looking for a way to get me out of the house and get some of my energy out. I must have been 5 or 6. I think I was starting kindergarten, and said, here, go do this. And they gave me a stick and all the equipment, and I just went out there and I figured it out. Oh, actually, no, let me take a step back. This is kind of weird. I learned how to skate in, I want to say Dallas, Texas.
Really?
Yeah. I was at some hotel down there, I'm pretty sure, or I don't remember. I must have been 4 or 5 we were stuck there. My dad used to have a cattle farm, cattle ranch, whatever. And there was a livestock show there, and we were there for a couple of days, and there was some general skating rink there. And of course, they were looking for something for me to do and said, here's some skates, figure it out. By the end of that weekend, I was just flying around that place. And maybe that was when they were like, all right, we got to get this kid doing something on the ice. So I did that. And I even jumped into goalie then a little bit, no pads or anything, but
Yep.
I found that kind of fun. I think I remember doing that a couple times.
Well, and being from Bemidji, it's almost natural that at some point you're going to wind up on the ice.
Right. Yeah.
So what was it about goalie where you're like, yep, that's where I belong?
I think like a lot of goalies, but by this point we had moved to Hibbing, Minnesota, and that's where I played most of my hockey growing up. And the coaches had all of us try goalie. It must have been squirts, mites, something like that. And I got the pads home. I got everything. And what did I do? Right. I put them all on right then and there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. All this stuff you get to put on. I don't even think I'd even watched any like real hockey on TV or anything. It was all just so I love the equipment, I think. And then I got to doing it. It was a lot of fun. That's definitely what I remember was just kind of being in love with the equipment, I guess. And the position, if I had to play the position to keep wearing it, then so be it.
So you start in Bemidji and then you wind up in Hibbing, which has a storied hockey tradition in Minnesota. It has a great barn. In fact, my in-laws live not too far from there now, and just outside of Nashua. Did you wind up playing high school hockey for Hibbing, or how far did you go competitively?
Competitively, it's interesting. Well, I'll answer the question.
Yeah, because the beer league we play in, we can't quite consider competitive.
That's right. I only played into Bantams.
Okay.
And well, maybe we'll get into this later, but yeah, I played into Bantams. At that point I knew I had some decisions to make going into high school.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I thought there were some pretty good goalies in front of me, and I wasn't sure what kind of playing time I was going to get. And, I'd been doing it, like I said, from about 5-6 years old up until about 14, 15. So I don't know. I just decided I wasn't going to make it my life anymore. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I regret it.
Yeah.
But other times maybe it was for the best. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, a lot of times you just know you've gone as far as you can competitively. And, in your instance, if you were elsewhere, probably even still in Bemidji, you probably would have been looking at going, okay, high school hockey's a reality. But in Hibbing, even though they don't have a lot of people, they have a lot of talent on the ice.
Well, yeah, exactly that, actually. That was kind of the thought. But as a 14 or 15-year-old, sometimes you think you know more than you really do. Or maybe you're looking more, you think you've got things more figured out. And I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever see this or not. But one of my goalie partners for, I think, a year or two was a guy named Travis Weber. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know who he is or not.
The name's familiar.
He played for University of Minnesota, or that's where he ended up going. But he was ahead of me and clearly very, very good. Mm-hmm. So Travis, if you see this, hey, how's it going? Or listen. And I was thinking, well, we were the same grade. I was like, there's no way I'm competing with him. So let's skip this. But as it turns out, I didn't know about things like junior gold. I could have kept playing that.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, there's junior hockey. And I think Travis's sophomore or junior year ended up going to play juniors, and then left the high school altogether. And there would have been, there would have been opportunities had I kept working at it, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, when we were coming up, I grew up in Chicago, so I didn't know as much about junior hockey outside of, the NAHL and the USHL. But there were a lot of junior B teams in the state of Minnesota at that time too that had opportunity.
Yeah,
and it's probably better that I didn't learn about them until I was in college, because I would have tried going that route too and wasting some time and mom and dad's money probably.
yeah. I mean, looking back on it though, I think my life definitely would have been different, and I kind of credit my ability to still play. I'm going to be turning 40 here this year, and my knees don't hurt too bad, although it's starting to change a little bit. But I feel like maybe not playing from 14, 15 to 24 or so, maybe that saved my body a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a doctor. I say that a lot these days.
So what brought you back to the game then?
My good friend Dave Tesh, actually, I was working a job downtown Minneapolis, or not downtown Minneapolis. I was working a job in Minneapolis, a contract job, doing web development, and we got to talking about hockey, and he's like, "Oh yeah," like I went to work that day thinking it was going to be like every other day, and we got to talking about hockey. He's like, "Oh, you used to play goalie?" I was like, "Yeah, it was a lot of fun, whatever." And one thing leads to another. He's got equipment lined up for me, a time to skate. I call my wife on the way home. And I say, "I'm going to play some hockey today." And I was so excited. I felt like I was, that age again. And it was wonderful. And I haven't stopped playing since. I think that was 2008, 2007, somewhere around there. And, I had of course, the equipment I knew was, the equipment from the late 90s, mid 90s. And so it was similar equipment, and I've since upgraded a lot of things, but that's what I found, or I found some equipment like that. And that was a blast. I gave up a ton of goals. I could barely walk the next day. I barely made it into work, but that's how I got back in.
You were sore, but you didn't care because it was a good sore.
Yep, absolutely. And I think within a couple of days I was doing it again.
Yeah. And, it's funny because I think a lot of times with goalies specifically, we kind of reach that point where it's like, okay, we've had enough of the game. We need to step away for a little bit. And then there's just something that brings us back. And we remember why we loved the game. And then you can't get us away from it.
Yeah, for sure. There was a time like that. I don't know. It's a couple of years. I'd been playing for 4 or 5 years at that point, and our kids were getting to be a little bit of a handful, and some things in life were changing. I was like, maybe. I was playing on an adult men's league, beer league team by that point, and pretty regularly. And I was thinking, guys, maybe I need to take a step back. A couple of different reasons, and they made it almost impossible to say no to them. Let's put it that way. Yep. All right. I'll one more year. We'll figure it out. And I never stopped.
Yeah.
Kids got older. We made it work.
It's funny because as I get older and make more connections, I could probably play 6 nights a week if I really wanted to, but it's like, no, I do like my wife. I'd like to keep her. I do like to hang out with my kids and go to their events. So I'll keep it to the 1 or 2 teams typically. I skate with the team out of the super rink, and then I was skating with a team in the 3M league. 3M has their own league out of Adness, and I started skating in that after I worked there, because typically anybody that's worked there or working there, whether it be full-time or contractor. I was a contractor, and it was like day 2. I was talking to somebody and mentioned I played hockey, and there's an email automation guy in the corner. All of a sudden he does one of these. You do? What position do you play? And I was like, I'm a goalie. And then does one of these with his chair, rolls over. And I had left 3M because my contract had ended, and then I get the email from him. He's like, "So the season's starting up. Are you interested in playing?" I was like, "Absolutely."
Nice.
So yeah, that's been shut down for the last 2 years, but it looks like that's coming back here soon. And what I love about that one is I don't know how they do it during the week, but they get like 6:30, 7 o'clock game times over at Vadnais, which is great because good time. You get home, you can wind down and fall asleep at a normal hour.
Right.
By the time we get off the ice, it's still 2-for-1s over at what is it, Saks connected to the rink there.
Yeah.
So it's a good post-game wind down.
Yeah, I'm playing on I think 3 teams at this point. I don't think I've ever done more than 3 teams, but sometimes I'll do 3 teams plus a friendly pickup session a week, which is about as much as I can do. But you throw a tournament weekend in there, it can be rough.
Yeah, I had one of those a couple weeks ago playing in the outdoor tournament, and it was a long week. And not only did I have the tournament in my game, but I filled in for another team at the super rink like an hour after my game. So I think it was 7 games in 3 days. I was sore. I was reminded that I'm a 41-year-old old guy.
Yep.
But
I'm feeling it more and more for sure.
Didn't get hurt. And even this week, Landon reached out to me. He's like, "Are you available?" It's like, "What time and what rink?" And it happens to be the game right before mine on the same exact rink. It's like, well, I guess I have no reason to say no to that one.
Yeah. And then I think, you got a team with the Walleye Chop this year?
No, I haven't typically played in that one, which is all right, especially now my kids both joined the high school fishing team. So I think we're going to be busy that weekend.
Right. I heard about that.
Yeah, it's completely new to me. I'm going to these parent meetings and they're asking for help, and I'm just kind of sitting in the corner, and they're like, "You don't want to help with boats or marshaling or anything like that?" It's like, "I'm not a fisherman." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Where I grew up, we had one lake and you didn't want to eat the fish out of it." And they're like, "Oh, okay." But my daughter was the one that wanted to join the team. She came home the one day. She's like, "Dad, I want to join the fishing club." I was like, "Okay, well, reach out to them." She's like, "Well, what do you mean?" It's like, "Well, email your school activities director," which is a guy I coached high school hockey with when I was coaching up in Forest Lake. He said, email him and he'll put you in touch with the right people. Well, it turns out their high school fishing club is actually the fishing team, and they're only in their second year, so numbers are down so much that they're both going to be on the varsity fishing team. And they're like, "We thought this was just going to be for fun to get out there and do some fishing." It's like, "Yep, that's exactly what it is. You'll just be getting points for it."
Right.
So
I think it's great that they're doing all that stuff. I heard there's trap teams now, and I think they're great that it seems like it's expanding, just whatever their interests are.
Yeah, my son's buddy, who's on the fishing team with the two of them, he's on the trap shooting team, and he got a varsity letter and went to the state tournament last year as a 7th grader, actually, because he was such a good shot. Help said he's been shooting for many years because his dad's a cop and he'd go to the range with them. But it's like, none of that existed when we were kids. If you wanted to do that stuff, you went out with mom or dad and did it, not through the high school. We just had the traditional Olympic sports at our schools.
Oh, excuse. I don't know what's going to happen here. I got a little dog that's been under my desk here all afternoon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, mine actually, we got a puppy. She's still a puppy. She's 1 now, but she left the office a little bit ago.
For the audio only listeners, it's a 150-pound Saint Bernard that was under my desk.
Yeah, and I love that you bring them to the weekend tournaments too.
Yeah, she loves going there. I take her everywhere we go.
Yeah, it seems like most of the beer league players, at least at the super rink, they know her. They know that even though she's big and looks menacing to people who don't like dogs, she's got the personality of a lap dog.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, you're playing hockey. you come back to the game, then you have kids, and now you're a goalie dad, but not just a goalie dad, but a goalie dad of a girl goalie. How is that going for you? And which is harder, playing or watching your own kid play?
It never bothers me. Or did you say what was harder?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've figured out that I have a weird personality.
I figured that out quickly too.
It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I think the only time it would bother me is if, they're getting beat up on, 8, 9, whatever, or 6 goals, just I can see they're having a hard time. I feel bad for my daughter at that point. But I don't ever feel that like, oh my God, what are the parents going to think? They're going to be looking at me thinking it's my fault. Well, I'm a goalie. I'm like, no, they had to skate through 5 people. It's been, the play's been in our zone the entire time. This is not a goaltending problem.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
A lot of the goalie parents I talk to are kind of the same way, but it's more of the anxiety of, what's the goalie thinking, or that kind of stuff, like you said, if they're having one of those games where they're down a couple goals and just kind of, what are they thinking? You almost start to feel bad for them because you know exactly what they're thinking, as opposed to, like my parents, they felt bad for me, but they didn't really know what was going through my head at that point. And usually it's anger at my teammates, not frustration in my own play.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I didn't let it stress me out too much. Sometimes I look for things of, okay, what are we going to work on in practice next, or this or that. But,
well, it probably helps.
I was looking for, sometimes I was hoping for, especially she played on a couple of good teams, a couple of years, and she didn't get much action sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, I'm hoping there's some opportunity for her to gain some confidence by making some good saves.
Yep.
And so I'm almost hoping for the thing that all the other parents are not hoping for.
Yeah.
And she even said that sometimes it was boring.
Well, next time I need a sub, I can just call her, and that'll get her plenty of shots. You know that.
Well, a little update on that. I don't think we haven't talked about that since then, but she's actually not playing this year.
Oh, really?
And she was split between gymnastics and goalie for a couple of years there. And, like your team decided that it was just tough with masks and all that stuff. And this last year, just with the way things went and the way sports were in general. Yeah. It was really hard for the kids to form any connection. I don't think she really felt like she knew anyone on the team. And it was just, it was tough. It was tough for a lot of kids in general. And it just, last year just wasn't fun. There's no really way to sugarcoat it. Well, at least for her. Like, not fun enough to want to do it again this year. And so she jumped into gymnastics and she's loving that. But I still have the pads up here in the shelf. We haven't completely closed that door, but we'll see. This year, I'll float the question again.
How old is she?
She's 11.
Okay, I was gonna say, because Kaz from For the Love of Puck he calls it the Root Beer League out of Tria in the summer. Mm-hmm. And I know they're always looking for goalies, but I think it's more for middle and high school. But hey, if they need a goalie, I'm sure they would make an exception.
Sure.
And it's just fun, almost like pickup hockey for kids, but a little more organized with refs and stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, she's doing something she enjoys though, and that's what matters.
Yeah, but then I do. So I have a son that's also in Bantams.
Yeah, but he's not a goalie, is he? I thought he was.
No, he's not. No, he's not a goalie, but I'm the goalie coach on the team. So
yeah, but
I'm still in that world.
Yeah, so I mean, you failed with one kid and couldn't get him between the pipes.
Failed.
What is it? Chico Rush's 3 rules of goaltending: 1, keep your stick on the ice; 2, keep yourself square to the puck; and 3, forwards are stupid.
Yeah, I've said that a couple of times, and I get a little weird looks from the other coaches sometimes especially when I'm talking with our goalie. I'm like, but forwards are stupid. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to do stupid things.
Yeah.
The thing I always say is you have more time than you think you have.
Mhm.
A lot of times, not all the time, but
Knowing that you're coaching, have you come across Brian DeCord's Stop It Goaltending app for tracking games?
no, I'm not.
I just started using it for my last game because I still put the GoPro up, and I love it because it's not just looking at, putting an X on a sheet of where the shot comes from. He's got like a couple different categories. Takes a game or two to get used to, but rather than saying, okay, this was your save percentage and your goals against for the game, it also calculates an expected goals against based on the different types of shots that you got. And I love that for my team because it's like last game I let in 7 goals, but my expected goals against was 6.8 or something. I was like, okay, I did as expected. The first goal I let in was weak. I knew that. So take that away. I was above par, and it's, from a goalie coaching standpoint, I think it's awesome. They tested it for quite a while. There's some artificial intelligence built in.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
He's using it over at Boston U, and it's a really cool. And my son's buddy, who's on the trap shooting team, his little brother is a goalie, and I was talking to his mom. I was like, "You need to download this app and start tracking your kids' games." And she's like, "Okay, if you think it's," it's like, "Yep, you need to do that," because he's kind of one of those goalies that's on a good team. So he's getting all these shutouts, but it's like, what about those goals he's letting in? Are they good goals? He has great numbers for a season, but how good is he really doing? It's a fun one. I think once you look into it, I'll have to send you the link afterwards. I think you'll find it entertaining. And
I'd love to take a look at that.
So we play against each other over at the Super Rink, and we've played against each other an awful lot over the years between the beer league and Landon Soda Stick tournament and the Goons for Good. We're always playing against each other, it seems like. And you even fill in for the other teams in the league. So as some weeks I've come out, I was like, I just saw you last week. What did you think the first time you saw me at the other end?
Boy, I think I remember the game, maybe. Well, I know the first game that I really remember, and you're going to like this. So there's 2 things you think about when you see a goalie come out in vintage goalie gear, right?
Yep.
Either they just picked it up somewhere and they don't know what they're doing, like I was all those years ago, just getting back into it, and who knows what you're going to get. Or you got somebody that knows what they're doing, and they know how to play, and they know how to play that style that you like to play. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I don't remember anything all that specific other than I remember one time I swear, like they had an open net backdoor play, and you did the splits, got across, got it. And I'm like, there's no way we're winning this game. I'm pretty sure like you stole that game 100%. I feel like the play was mostly in your end, at best 50-50, but I want to see you guys won by a couple of goals. And so whenever I saw you out there, I wanted to watch because you were always fun to watch.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've always been naturally flexible. I mean, there's no reason a guy my age should still be able to do that, but I can. So it's like, I know most teams see me and they're not expecting that. So I can cheat a little bit and do that. I do that quite a bit in our league where it's like, okay, there's that 2-on-1. I'm going to cheat a little bit this way and force them to pass. And most of the guys can't lift the puck anyway, or if they do, it's going over the net. So it's like, okay, I feel pretty good. And it works. As they said in Anchorman, 60% of the time, it works all the time.
Right.
I just remember the first time I saw you was your mask, and simple design, but I like it.
Was it it was the blue? It had to have been the blue and the yellow.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just the simple, triangles, which that design for whatever reason was kind of starting to become pretty popular at that point. It was about a year or two that, a lot of goalies were kind of, I think, gravitating toward it because it was so simple to do on a plain mask. You could, even with colored electrical tape, do it, make it look good, and, just add a little something to it.
Well, that's pretty much what I did was I just got a bunch of different colors of automotive vinyl and I cut out shapes and I played around with it. And I did some research. Basically, I just looked up other goalie masks that are simple designs. I think I modeled it after, forgive me, I'm terrible with names. Like, I'm a horrible hockey fan. But I know there's a Penguins goalie mask that I modeled part of the design after. I was like, all right, this is something I can do with simple shapes and colors. And that's kind of how I came up with that first one. And then I redid it recently in red and black. I don't know if you've seen it or not. But.
Yeah, I did. I saw it at the Goons for Good tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I got traded recently, or there was some kind of.
Oh, what team are you skating on now? Not the Generals?
Well, in the AHA, I'm on Zephyrs.
Okay.
I used to play for the Saints.
Okay. What about? Are you still on the Generals then? In the
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Generals Sunday night. Some team that changes their name every season. Monday night at Super Rink, and then AHA Zephyrs.
Yeah, I got to look. I think it's like in a week or two we play each other.
Oh, that'll be good. Maybe I'll have to get the GoPro up.
Yeah, you should. I actually got a new one, so there's not a scratch on it anymore.
Yeah, I got a new one for Christmas as well. I need to use it, but
yeah. This week we got the rate. Oh no, I guess we don't play not until March 20th. It looks like, so we got a while. It'll be fun. You'll get to see the new pads in action.
I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, I mean they don't look too much different than the old ones.
Right, but I feel like someone at the Vaughn factory or whatever has got to be looking at going like, this is cool. Someone's using the old design.
Yep.
They gotta. I think someone there's got to smile a little bit doing some of those vintage designs rather than just doing the same stuff over and over and over again.
I've had talks, at first I was told no, I couldn't do it. And then we went a little further up the food chain there. And the one guy was like, absolutely, we're doing that one. What surprises me is we haven't seen it, with other goalies. We're seeing a lot of the retro legacy from like the early 90s. We're seeing a lot of the early velocity, but nobody else has tried that graphic. Even Ron Tugnet's son just did an old vintage look with the Chris Osgood inverted triangle kind of. But as far as I know, I'm the only one that has gone with that retro legacy bullseye, and I like it.
If you like it, that's all that matters. I think the pads I wanted the most when I was a kid was I want to say it was Felix Potvin, the Flame ones. See, and I've seen a couple of updated retros on that. I would be into that a lot.
I hated that design at the time because as a Hawks fan, Potvin was a Hawk killer. But as I go back and look at it, I was like, that was a pretty sweet setup. My all-time favorite looking setup is Belfour's Reactor 5s, where he had the black and white alternating stripes, but then just kind of the red trim on the outside. In fact, that's what I've got on my oh no, I got a new phone case. That's right. Used to have it on my phone case, but to me that is just the coolest looking setup. And had I gone Bauer Digiprint, that's exactly what I would have done. That's
the one with it's got the stripes. Yeah, you said.
Yeah.
Okay, I pulled it up here. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, and the backstory on that one's great because the first set he got were all white, and he thought that was too much white, so he got a Sharpie out and colored in the alternating stripes. And it was funny because when I had him on the podcast, I was like, Ed, I got to know, did you use the normal fine tip Sharpie, or did you at least have one of those fat head ones? And he just started laughing, and he didn't quite answer the question, but I have a gut feeling it was the traditional fine tip Sharpie, and he was there for quite a while with the equipment manager.
Looks like he kept going with it here. He had the similar set in Dallas then as well.
Yeah, and he had it for his brief layover in San Jose. And I don't care what you say, when he first went to San Jose and still had the Hawks equipment with that teal, it looked really cool for some odd reason. Then he got the teal ones, and that still looked good for, I think, the whole 12 games he played there. But yeah, he kept that in Dallas until he switched over to Vaughn. And then
that was a good choice. Yeah,
I think so. So, you don't just play hockey in your free time, which with kids and playing hockey, there's not much of it. You took an old coach bus and converted it into an RV. Where the heck did you get that idea?
Boy, where did I get the idea?
Or why did you do it?
I can tell you the why. I don't even, I think about it. I'm not even sure where exactly, other than it started with, we got a pop-up camper for next to nothing, and we kind of refurbed that, and it was like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then we'll kind of answer the why here a little bit. We'll get a little serious. And I think it was 2016, my father passed away. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that tomorrow isn't promised. Time with my family isn't promised. Times with my kids isn't promised. And like, we need to spend time together. We need to do stuff. And I thought, you know what, wife and I, we've been talking about doing more RVing, camping, all that stuff. I'm like, we should do it this way. Right. And then when I started looking at different RVs, most of them are set up for a retired couple, bed in the back. You got a dinette up there, up in front, a couple of couches and stuff, but we have 4 kids. How are we going to make that work? So quickly it became, well, I'm not, buy a brand new, custom tour bus kind of money. I don't come from that, but I figured, well, let's look at what's out there and maybe we can make something. And one thing led to another. And I think it was 2017. The wife said, sure, yeah, we could buy a bus and convert that. That's not going to be that bad. The purchase price was pretty reasonable. I think it was like $3,000. Oh, geez. For a 30,000 pound, 40 foot long, 8 feet wide piece of steel and aluminum. And it was, what's serendipitous about it is it's the exact age that I am. Oh, cool. It was the bus we have. It was manufactured September 1982. And I just thought that was so cool. I found that out later. So that's, it's kind of how we got started on that, but then we got to work on it, and it took way longer than I thought it would. We started in the spring of 2017. I was hoping we might be done, by early to midsummer, maybe the fall at the latest. It turns out it was more like 2 years later.
And a lot more money later.
Oh, well, I don't know. I actually did a pretty good job of estimating it out, but it certainly was a lot more time, and that's worth something. And sure, it did cost quite a bit of money. And sure, can you buy something for about the same price? Sure, but all of our kids have their own. That was the thing, is each of our kid has their own bunk bed in there. Did they help with any of the work on it? Well, that was one of the stipulations in getting it from the one of the other decision makers in the household. But they didn't help as much as we would have liked, if I'm honest. But they did help from time to time. I have pictures to prove it. And that's something they'll remember. The whole idea behind it was creating memories. Exactly. And now we've gone geez, I think we've put like 20, 30,000 miles on it, maybe more like 40,000. Been out to Yellowstone, been to Florida, been to Texas, been around Lake Michigan, and we travel around here all over, and it's great. And during COVID, we used it as a rolling locker room.
Perfect. Well, you even brought it to the soda stick tournaments, and you pulled the grill out and started cooking up food between games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love doing that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love the idea of the rolling locker room too, because
so during COVID, we couldn't, the kids couldn't use the locker rooms, or they were only allowed in the rink, I think 10 minutes before the game. And that's really tough for Lucy as a goalie.
Yep.
So I let her get dressed in there, and that made it a little better, I think.
Yeah. I remember when the rinks opened the first time, and it was the fall season, and I showed up, and they were saying, 15 minutes before, but it was the super rink. I'm like, they won't have an issue. I show up, I'm wearing my mask, and we're on the back four, and one of the kids at the desk without their mask on tells me, "You're too early." I was like 25 minutes before the game.
Yeah.
And you know me, I like to get there an hour early. So this was out of my comfort zone to begin with. And I look at him, I was like, I'm going to be sitting in the locker room by myself anyway, if it was non-COVID times. And they're like, well, you can go out in the parking lot and start getting ready. And I look at this girl, I go, I don't think you understand. I strip all the way down to get ready. I don't think you want me doing that in your parking lot. And she's like, oh, and I wound up exchanging emails with the league director. Is like, hey, I don't care about it, but at least have them wear, if they're trying to enforce this, at least tell the kids to put their mask on. And he, just replies, he goes, oh, Jesus, I've told these kids that rule is for youth hockey, not the beer leagues. You guys are going to be alone anyway. So, and after that, no issues. I was able to get in early, but
that's nice.
I went to Fogarty, and I walked in like 17 minutes before the ice time. And the guy's sitting there. He's like, you're too early. I was like, it's 2 minutes, dude. It's a 2-minute walk from the parking lot with the setup they have there. He's like, no, too early. You got to leave. I was like, are you kidding me? By the time we were done talking, it was 15 minutes beforehand.
Yeah. I don't know. I know some of the guys, Fogarty almost closed.
Yeah.
I know they were just trying to keep it
Stay
open.
afloat. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely challenging.
Yeah.
So I had, going back to when I first started playing again, of course, that first day I played, I got there an hour early because that's what you did when you were a kid, right?
Yep.
Then slowly that started creeping into, I got really good at getting to the rink about 10, 15 minutes before our ice time. And I'd be ready with 5 minutes to go. People still say all the time, you're you get whatever for a goalie, you get ready faster than anyone. So
yeah, I
figure I've been training for COVID for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
playing.
I can't do that. Even with the new stuff, I like to take my time, but there's still that mental aspect of getting focused on the task at hand, because usually when I put the pads on, even the 3M league, I'm on a team that they like to give up a lot of shots.
Yeah.
They mean well when it comes to defense. They just don't play well. So
as long as it's not screening you and tipping it in.
That does happen. That does happen. It doesn't help that our team captain, if the face-off is to my stick side, I have to be ready for the pass back to me, just because he's really good at face-offs, which is awesome. But it almost always winds up being a shot on goal. So I have to be ready for those face-off shots from my own teammate. I've gotten used to it, and I'll look at my D-man. I was like, it's coming to me, then it's going to you. So you stay right there. And the refs even start to laugh every now and then. Back the last game, he sent one back so fast, I got it with the stick. It wound up out of the rink. It was like, geez, easy there, killer. But it is what it is. We're out there to have fun, as we like to say. As long as there's beer in the locker room afterwards and nobody gets hurt, it's a victory.
Yep.
Which means most weeks it's a victorious week. Doesn't matter what the scoreboard says.
Yeah, I don't. For the most part, yeah, doesn't matter. I don't get rattled too much giving up goals as long as I feel like. Yeah, as long as I feel like I'm playing well, I don't get too worked up about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I used to. And I was driving to a game and I was listening to Goalie by Garmin, his old podcast. They're great, short, like 5-10 minute podcasts. And one of them he's talking about controlling what you can control. And I
yeah,
was like, yeah. And that just kind of changed it for me. It's like, I can't control the fact that I'm getting scored on 4 times a game because that guy on the back door is just wide open. I can't control that. So let's not get upset that we lost by 1 goal, but 4 of them were those. It's like, okay.
right.
And that's even where that app I was telling you about comes in handy. It's like, okay, last week I let in 7, but I should have probably let in 7. So, okay, that validated what I thought that day. And as I get older, I'm just mellowing out. Not too much is riling me up on the ice anymore. Um, you know, there's I forget which team he plays for. There's the one guy kind of has the Pavel Dimitra look. He gets a little crazy every now and then, and
Yeah,
yeah, he can get under my skin from time to time. But I just keep telling myself he's just a wacko. Let him go. Let him go. And yeah,
yeah. I was telling my wife about I don't know one. I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday or Monday night, but things were getting a little out of hand as they do at the super rink,
yep,
and especially towards the end of a game that I don't know. I don't think it was actually getting too far out of hand, but there ended up being I think about 3 people paired up,
oh jeez,
and the goalie was getting into it. So you know what that means. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to go down there.
you know,
That's not me. I just don't get that worked. I don't even know. I don't even know how you get there mentally. Like
yeah, that must have been the Monday night because our Sunday night league is pretty
uh, it
low
might have
key.
been.
Although it was 3-4 years ago, we were playing. I don't even remember who we were playing in the league, but there was about 8 minutes left in the game, and one of our players is going into the corner, and their player just cross checks him from behind. That was bad enough, but this guy who got cross checked, his kid was on the team, and he's on the ice too. So he goes after this guy that cross checks his dad. Those two are going at it. Their goalie comes into it. We're up by like 7 at this point, so that tells you the team we were playing wasn't too good if we were up by 7. And the ref kicks the kid out, the guy that cross-checked our guy, and the goalie out. And they're like, well, he's our only goalie. And the ref goes, he should have thought about that before he went in and started throwing blocker punches
Right.
around. And they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? He goes, 6 players on the ice. That's what you're required. So at that point, we stopped shooting. If we got in the zone, they just passed it around, or as a dump in and retreat. We did score 1 more goal, and that was we were on the penalty kill down below our own goal line. The one guy went to ice it, and
Oh, nice.
it hit. He didn't aim for the net, but it was one of those where it hits one of those little piles of snow that builds up over the game and veered in. But every time we were leaving the zone, I'm yelling at the D, give it here, give it here. Nobody did it until about 20 seconds left in the game. One defenseman's going out, and he hears me, and it dawns on him what I'm trying to do. So he passes the puck to me, and I send it down. And to the other team's credit, there were 3 guys that could have gotten the way, but they let it go. My
nice.
shot hits another one of those ice patches and veers about 2 inches out of the, away from the goal. I was that close to getting my goalie goal, but it's like, oh my God, I had 8 minutes and you guys only gave me 1 chance. Yeah. That was one of the fights. The other fight we got 1 cop on the team. So being mostly firemen, they do pick on them quite a bit. But that guy I was talking about, I'm sure if you saw him, you know who is. I don't know if he plays on the money shot or anchor rail, but he just crazy. And he went at our guy, kind of threw him down in a corner, and then he gets up and they're exchanging words. And he's just doing like a Ric Flair woo woo in his face, and my buddy is just like, I'm not having that. The refs weren't doing anything at that point, but standing there watching. So Nate just takes him and shoves him down. And he's, like puts him in a submission hole. He's like, you cut it out. Well, of course, Nate got ejected from the game. He's like, I had to do something. And the other guy, he got kicked out. He got a couple extra penalties added on. They're like, well, we got to kick your guy out because of what he did, but you're not getting any extra penalties. Don't worry. You're getting like 2 or 3 power plays out of this.
Nice.
And I've even talked to players on the other team. They're like, yeah, usually every week our team captain gets an email about that guy going, what did he do this week? But I think it was a week or two ago. I forget who we played that week, but things were getting a little chippy, not on purpose, more, like kind of falling or guys just getting back after COVID. And Nate was ready to go after one guy, but the next whistle, the guy comes to the bench, apologized to the one guy that he accidentally took out or something. He's like, okay, I was letting the cop get over, take a hold of me. I was ready to take care of business here. And we're like, easy, killer. We'll tell you when to go.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy to have on your team. That's for sure. So looking at time, I like to end every episode with a list of 10 rapid fire questions that I've asked every single guest. This is going to be episode 70. So I've asked everybody the same questions.
Okay.
And the first one is, what's the craziest coaching moment from your playing days or coaching days, since you coach too?
I don't know about craziest, but growing up in Hibbing, it was just funny. The coach we had, I think his name was Stu. And for some reason, when he was talking in Hibbing, the primary color there is blue. A lot of us were in blue jerseys. He would say, he was talking to somebody, he would say, hey, you with the blue jersey, come on. Because he didn't really learn all our names. And it was just the funniest thing. He'd just say, hey, you with the blue jersey, come over here.
And everybody turned.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm starting to think maybe now he just had a really sarcastic sense of humor or something, but we all thought he was serious, or just, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't around any crazy like coaches getting kicked out, or other than, I mean, I've seen it, but nothing that crazy like that. I don't know. Sorry, I don't have a great answer for you there.
No, that's a good one. I like it because we've all had those coaches where it's like you said, they don't take the time to learn our names. When I was coaching, my issue was I could tell the players apart when they were in equipment, but when we'd go into the locker room between periods and they had their helmets off, it was like, turn around, I got to see your number.
Yeah, it can be tough for sure.
Yeah. I always liked the tryouts or even working hockey camps when the kids would have the tape with their name on the helmet. It's like, oh yeah, that works nice. So what was your favorite all-time goalie mask?
Design wise?
Yes.
It again, like with the pads, it's hard to beat Felix Potvin.
Yeah. Yeah, I begrudgingly say yeah, but those are still classic, and there's a reason you're still seeing those tribute sets.
Yeah, a lot of good ones out there, but I don't know. I thought that was so cool, and it's simple.
So, what is your favorite rink that you've played at?
I mean, I've played at the Excel Center.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty fun. I'm going to go, you mentioned it early on. I'm going to go with the sentimental one and say, anytime we got to play at the Memorial Building in Hibbing, I loved playing there.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to that often because I didn't, I never played high school there or anything like that. But anytime I got to, it was kind of a special treat growing up as a kid there. And, the other one I really like is New Hope North, because that is where Gordon Bombay missed his penalty shot goal by a quarter inch.
Yeah. Somehow I've never skated at New Hope North.
No?
No.
Oh, I always bring some story up about Mighty Ducks there, because if anybody doesn't know, that's where that movie was primarily filmed.
Yeah, the state championship game.
Yeah.
my nephew was playing in state playoffs, and the game was at Parade, where the Hawks was their home, and we get there, and I'm talking to my brother-in-law, and I go, it looks like they finally took that second place banner down. And he looks at me, he's like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, that second place banner from the Hawks when Bombay missed the net. And he's like, you're an idiot. Yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot of people our age that will walk into that rink and that crosses their mind. What is your favorite stick that you've used?
Favorite stick?
Yeah.
I think boy, I'm gonna sound like an idiot here, but the one I'm using right now I really like. It's pretty much I chased the same one that I've used forever. I think it was when I used a Coho foam core or something or other. I think it was a Wah pattern, and I've just been chasing foam core sticks. I don't like I bought one composite stick. It broke extremely quickly. If you're getting paid to play and don't have to pay for sticks, fine. I'm sure it's great. It's light. But now I've liked doing the trigger grip in them, cutting that out. I really like doing that. So a Vaughn foam core stick that I get at Pure Hockey, not sponsored.
I just picked up a Vaughn right before Christmas from Pro Stock Hockey, and I love it. I haven't put the trigger grip in yet. I've contemplated it. I have the Goalie Guru little attachment to go on, which kind of acts like a trigger grip, but I love the idea of a trigger grip of just wrapping that finger around too, because I don't know why, but my finger typically does wrap around anyway, and then when I try and go paddle down, it hurts when you go down too quick. So I like the idea of the trigger grip, and this summer I might cut into my stick. I'm just worried I'll mess it up.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
It's pretty hard to mess that one up though. If you've used a drill before, you should be okay, is what I've heard.
Yep, it's not bad. I just use a jigsaw.
Yep. Yeah, it's probably what I'll wind up doing. I'm gonna wait till it's a little warmer out in the garage to do it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, or I'll have to pick up a heater for the garage. I would love to do that. That's a whole nother discussion. What is your favorite youth hockey memory?
Favorite youth hockey memory. I think it's a little weird. I wasn't even playing in this game, but it made me realize, especially now I'm coaching now, or it's a real world example to never give up. You never know what's going to happen. I think we were playing in a tournament in Cloquet, Minnesota, against
barn.
Against Coon Rapids. And we were hibbing, and I wasn't even playing. Travis was in net, and we were down, I think 3-0 or 3. I think it was 3-0 going into the third. Championship game, and we managed to tie it up. I think we ended up going to overtime, but during that time, I mean, Travis made some amazing saves, and just as a goalie partner, it was great cheering him on. And even though I didn't play, which I mean, it's weird, but it was just a great memory. We got that trophy, and just to never give up. I think that's so important. I try and teach all our kids that at any level that I coach, just never give up. You never know what's going to happen.
It's funny you say that, because when I was coaching high school hockey in Forest Lake, we were up in Cloquet for a section game. It wasn't playoffs, it was just a regular section game. And Cloquet was a powerhouse still at that point, and Forest Lake wasn't. And we had a really good goalie. He went on to play at Ohio State and in the ECHL. And we were down in that game, and they fought back and they tied the game. And then with 0.08 seconds left on the clock, we scored the game-winning goal. And when you go to Cloquet for a high school hockey game, that barn is packed. Every seat is full, and to just hear the whole stadium go silent, except for the few parents that made the trek up there. It was really fun. And it was one of those, February games where it was probably 30 below outside, and your nose freezes from the walk from the arena to the bus. And that was a fun bus ride home, even for the kid who broke his leg in the JV game and had enough time to go to the hospital in Cloquet, get crutches, an x-ray and everything else, and come back to the game. He's sitting on the bus, with some painkillers in him, and he even enjoyed the bus ride home after that one. So what is the best chirp you've heard on the ice, off the ice, directed at you, not directed at you? What's the best chirp?
Oh my God. I'm a terrible guest here. I don't know that I have anything right now for that. Like I don't pay attention to that stuff very often.
I'm the same way though. I know people say stuff to me in games, but I get so focused on the game that I don't hear it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Now there is the stuff that's said in the locker room that I do hear and I do remember, but as we learned from Mr. Alaska, things that are said in the locker room stay in the locker room.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the worst post-game beer you've had?
Oh, you should never complain about free beer, of course,
right.
But someone brought some, I don't know, some kind of beer from Wisconsin. No offense, Wisconsin, but I swear it was like a 24 pack or something. And he said he paid like $5 for it. And I just picked it up, I think for the novelty of it. It was, I don't know. For some reason that sticks out in my mind.
Makes sense. At first I was going to say, was it Spotted Cow? Because I think Spotted Cow is an overrated beer. It's a good beer, but I think people make it out to be better than it really is.
I think it's the scarcity, you can't have it. So it's better.
We live so close to Wisconsin. It's not that scarce.
Well, perceived scarcity is also a thing.
Yeah, exactly. So when you tape your stick, do you go heel to toe or toe to heel?
So I just learned this recently by hanging out with more players, or actually the Bantams this year maybe taught me it. Forever as a goalie, I've been going toe to heel. Because I figured when that puck comes off, I don't want it to catch the little grooves on there. But as a player, they were telling me to go heel to toe so that the puck does catch the little edges of the tape a little bit more to get a little more spin on it. So as a goalie, I go toe to heel.
Okay. You are actually, well, that's a different discussion, but yes, you are in the minority. Most of the goalies I've talked to go heel to toe. But a lot of them, the older ones anyway, do it because, when we started playing wooden sticks, that heel would absorb most of, that moisture and whatnot. So it was more of a function at that point in time. Now with composite sticks and better technology, even in the foam cores, that doesn't happen anymore. So it's more of a.
Well, I will say I do a strip on the bottom because again, I still pay for my stick. So
same here.
Yeah, I do a strip on the bottom, and sometimes I'll do two just on the heel because it'll wear out there. And then usually my thought is I finish on the heel, and then I can kind of do whatever I want there to add a double layer or something. I don't do that so much anymore because, like you say, the composite sticks are so good. But different ways to skin that cat, I guess.
There are some goalies that actually don't even tape their sticks because they're so good. But I always started at the heel because I figured if I'm going to mess up anywhere, it's on the heel. So I didn't have to start all the way over if I messed up. That was my part. I think a little bit of laziness is why I still go heel to toe. So what's your favorite number to wear and why?
That changed recently for me. So I used to be 35 all the time because that was the number that was available to me when I started playing. when you're smaller town, Pee-wee's, you recycle Pee-wee's Bams, you recycle the same jerseys. So whenever goalie started, and that when he picked that number, that's what the numbers that were available. So I had 35 forever.
Yeah.
But again, like I mentioned, my dad passed away 2016, and in some way to honor him a little bit, while he never understood hockey all that much, he always supported me in it. He was big into football. He was actually played Division II, is it, for University of North Dakota. Okay. Was an offensive lineman there. I got actually his, where is it here? Oh yeah. He was always really proud of this. This is a, see if is that going to focus on there?
It is a little bit. Yeah.
That's his ring from winning the national championship in, 1969 here.
Oh, very cool.
Anyway, they didn't, I don't think they lost a game for 2 years.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so he was an offensive lineman there. His number was 74. So the year after we started playing again, I switched my number to 74, and I'll probably wear that forever. That's my favorite number right now.
That's a good reason.
It's a weird goalie number, but whatever.
Yeah, they're changing now. When I had my college goalie coach on early on in the podcast, he was asking me about, why are goalies going with weird numbers now? And I go, I don't know, but as long as I know the story behind it, it usually makes sense. And that's what I like to hear more than just what number are you? Because the story behind them is the cool part. So the last question, what advice do you have for young goalies?
Boy, I think it's the same. I tell every single one of the kids that I coach, I've been coaching now for like 3 or 4, I think it's my 4th season. Never give up on any play, on anything in life. Just especially goalie, you just don't know what's going to happen. And you're not going to be in a position to make that save if you don't start moving towards it. Yep. Even when you think there's no chance in way, you're going to get the tip of your stick on it. You're going to, all those amazing saves, the highlights you can find, it doesn't start unless you don't give up. That's the, I don't know. That's what I would say. And practice hard, like push yourself in practice.
Yeah.
Push yourself. Like that's how you get the third period overtime legs. That's what I tell them too. Like you're tired now, end of practice. How are you going to feel when it's tied 3-3? We're on a penalty kill in our zone. You can't, work now.
Yep. Best lesson for me is, I think it was my sophomore year of high school, JV state playoffs, because Illinois had that so they still do, but state playoffs for the JV teams. First round, we went to triple overtime. And yeah, legs were getting tired, but we were there, and somehow we outlasted the other team and went on to lose another game. But yeah, it was one of those where I don't know if we just had more left in the legs or what that game, but it was becoming evident. Everybody was getting tired.
I love watching any game, especially playoffs like NHL playoffs or Olympic hockey, goes into multiple overtimes. I will watch that till it's done, because it's just amazing how long and how hard they're having to push their bodies. And just I don't know. Sometimes I wish it doesn't end, because it's just like the perfect game. Nobody's scoring. There's great chances. Yes. I remember as a kid watching, what was it? I feel like it was Florida Panthers versus
Colorado game 3, I think.
Okay, so you're remembering. It went to how many overtimes?
3 overtimes, and it was a 0-0 game.
And I remember my parents saying, like, you got to go to bed when this game's done. And it's like, I don't know, 1, 2 in the morning or something. Yeah. I'm like, it's still on. They're like, fine. Because and good on them for honoring their word on that. But I love that.
That was a crazy game. I've been lucky enough to have Ron Tugnut and Kelly Rudy on the podcast, and both of them played multi-overtime games. And I asked both of them, like, what were you doing in the locker room, between, because they didn't have the nutrition advice that we have now for that kind of stuff. He's like, anything they could get, bacon, pizza, oranges. They were eating everything
Yeah.
just to. And I think it was Kelly Rudy said it took them probably a good week to get back to normal after that game.
I bet.
Because and that was my question for Kelly was, not just what were you doing between periods, but what did you do the next day? That's almost more important than
Sleep
in the game is, what are you doing to replenish the body and, just get it back to normal. But Shawn, thanks for joining me on the podcast. We're going to be seeing each other at the rink. I know that. What time is your game this Sunday?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I think I've got a 6:00 and a 7:00 on rink 6, the USA rink. So I'm looking forward to it.
Looks like 9:30.
Oh.
Generals take on was it Heart Attack, something or other?
Oh, fun.
Yeah, the Heart Attacks. I love the names.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on. It was an honor. I looked at the I hadn't up until this point. I've seen a lot of the guests you've had on here and there, but I went and I looked at some, and actually I saw you had was it Steve
McKeegan on that?
Yeah, I love his channel actually.
Yeah.
I've been watching it for a long time. I'm like, who am I? Who am I to be on here? But I appreciate it. This has been good.
Yeah. Well, my I don't know if you call it goal or what, but mission statement, I guess you could say, when I started was to have goalies of all ages and skill levels. So I've had bantam and high school goalies on, and then I've had guys like Eddie Belfour on, who was nice enough to send me some of his whiskey, which I have to remember to bring this week because I made the mistake of telling my teammates that, and they're like, so when are you going to bring that so we can sample it? It's not
maybe I could come and watch your game too and sample some of that. Maybe.
I mean, if you'd have to get there more than 10 minutes before the game.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's not my contract.
I'm just having visions of Major League when the manager Lou takes the contract and goes, let me read that, throws it down on the ground and takes a leak on it.
Yeah.
Lou Brown, that's the manager's name. God, I love that movie. My son plays baseball, so we reference that movie quite a bit. And in fact, this year he was in a bit of a hitting slump. My wife looks at him and she goes, do we need to get you a chicken? And he's like, what? And she's like,
oh, the chicken.
Yeah. And I mean, we had just gotten home from a game. It was like 8:00 at night. And he's like, what? And she's like, sit down. And we flipped on Major because he's 13. So it'd been a while since he'd watched it. So he didn't quite remember it and watched the movie. And so then the next game he's in the on deck circle and I shout out to him. He's like, what? And I was like, F you, Jobu. I do this myself. And he just started laughing. And sure enough, he went and got a hit. But, well, it looks like you or me, I'm not sure which one of us is freezing up again. So, Shawn, again, thanks for being on the podcast. And we'll probably see each other Sunday night at the Super Rink. A huge thank you to Shawn for stepping in and ensuring we didn't skip a week of the podcast. I knew whenever I had a chance to talk to him, it'd be a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Shawn isn't a big social media guy, but he can be found on YouTube at The Real Neon Eddie and The Himmelberger Bus. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube simply by searching for Wash Up Goalie and I'll pop up. Visit washupgoalie.com for some great hockey-related content, my beer league hockey video highlights, and of course, all podcast episodes. If you want some Wash Up Goalie or Tendy Talk apparel, be sure to visit my Threadless shop by clicking the merchandise link on my website. If you like this podcast, go listen to the BLPA Big Show. It's the OG BLPA Podcast Network show where a couple of beer league players talk beer league hockey, draft experience shenanigans, and exploits from around the game. Be sure to check out the full lineup of hockey-related podcasts on the Hockey Podcast Network as well. There are too many to list here, but shows like the Blackhawks on Ice podcast, the Windy City Benders podcast, and the Jackets Debrief podcast can all be found. I need to thank the band The Zambonis for allowing me to use their music on the podcast. You can download their music on iTunes or listen wherever you stream music from. I'm always working on lining up other goalies to talk to. If If you are a goalie or have connections to a goalie who I should talk to, shoot me an email at washupgoalie39@gmail.com or send me a DM on social media. Let's not forget, if you're a brand who wants to sponsor the show, be sure to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk. And finally, if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment on the podcast platform you're listening on. It's a quick action on your part that helps others find Tendy Talk. So, until next time, keep your stick on the ice and your body square to the puck.
Checked out Ketchell's Pond. He calls up Tommy Taylor. Tom said the pond, it froze right over. So get the nets and lace your skates and get the hot chocolate for your mom today. Get home. Crack the dawn, I call my friend. Hey, Tarkin.
Yeah, Dave.
Hey, have you checked out the pond today?
It's funny you ask. I was just down there this morning.
Yeah, any good news?
Well, Dave, the pond?
Yeah?
It's froze right over.